Hey everybody, welcome. I'm Laura Franco, the CEO of Brave Healer Productions, and we are waking the world up to what's possible for healing, one brave word at a time. And to help me with that mission today, I have Christina Morris. She is the lead author of a new book we have coming out soon called Strong Mothers, More Than a Survival Guide. And man, oh man, this book. Welcome, Christina. How are you doing?
I'm really well. Thank you, Laura.
I'm so happy that you're here. Introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about kind of how you got to doing what you're doing today.
Sure. So I own a Yes Mama mindset where I, help expectant mothers with self-care and positive prioritization so that they can, still fulfill their aims and goals, but in a healthy way. And the way this came about was I felt like I didn't have that support myself when I was pregnant. My son is only 10 months old, so it's all very recent and very exciting. I'm learning every day. And I found pregnancy really difficult, actually. And so this book came to me because the more people I was honest with, and I said, actually, I find pregnancy quite difficult. I'm not necessarily glowing and, really, know what's happening. People were like, oh, I felt like that. And so I just, I couldn't find a book anywhere that told me that people actually feel like this. So I just wanted to create the book that I was looking for when I was pregnant. And that's different voices of different mother experiences and tools and how they coped.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I was one of those too. Like pregnancy, I threw up every single day for 9 months with one of mine. Yeah, I was one of those who was like, get the baby out and let's go to the next stage of this. And I couldn't enjoy the months so much. Like I had heard even my best friend talking about, oh, and you talked about the glow. It cracked me up. I was not glowing. Oh my gosh. I've got a 22-year-old and a 19-year-old now, so I'm a little bit different phase than you are, but it's interesting how those memories of pregnancy and childbirth, man, they stick, they are ingrained. And our co-authors in this book are sharing some pretty raw, vulnerable stories, including yours. You went through, I don't want you to give it all up today. They need to read this story, but you had a moment. I was wondering in that scary moment, I know you guys, my viewers are like, what? Tell us what happened. I just want to know what the aha was from that. You walked away, I think, with an aha. What was it?
Yeah, well, it was just that how I handled the situation, I felt like almost like a calm over me, and I didn't react. And maybe that's kind of like, flight or fright, kind of thing. Like, I don't know, like maybe it's part of that, but anyway, I said fright, fight, sorry, or flight.
I knew what you meant.
Sorry, baby brain.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, and I felt like almost like a calm, and I don't think I would have felt like that had I not been through that entire pregnancy where I was like, who am I and what is happening, and the different tools that like I employed to kind of get myself, or maybe not even myself back, but a new version of myself that I was comfortable with. I had those tools at at my disposal when something major like it did happened.
Yes. Oh my gosh. This is totally the book I wished I had had. Mm-hmm. And I feel so proud to be publishing this book with you because it is going to help so many moms in what you just said. It's so important. Maybe we could talk about that for another minute. Becoming a mom is a complete shift of your identity. And you have to really understand who you are at that point, right? How was that for you?
Yeah, I think so you know, my pregnancy, even though I'm happily married, like it was unexpected. We were like, oh, we'll travel for a few more years and things like that. And so I think that can really, you know, shock you as well, and like maybe makes it a bit more of a different pregnancy experience. You're less smug and glowing and a bit more like, ah. So I think it was like trying to find myself, and you know what this meant for me. And actually, in becoming a mother, it's now I know it's like what I was always meant to be. Even, you know, having the vision to create this book and help other people, to create my business, like all of that wouldn't have come about without my son. And I just feel like immense gratitude for the whole experience.
That's something I hadn't thought of with you or about you at this point. And I love Yes Mama Mindset. I love that name. I am all about the mindset, and my chapter is about mindset. And I know yours is about mindset. And there's a lot of that in the book, these gifts of awareness that we're helping the reader with in terms of how they can look at the situations that they're in and have a different perspective, right? I mean, as soon as you can give someone the hope of a different way to look at something, then everything can change.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. Like, I just think, you know, I believe that everything happens for a reason. And, you know, I wouldn't be down this path or have met all these amazing people that I've met on my maternity, you know, leave. And I wouldn't have met all these people that I've met through the book if not for this experience. So, you know, it's quite interesting. Like, a couple of the ladies in their chapters, I know Ali, for one, talks about, you know, how you just go into autopilot and you want to immediately return to who you were, but you can't because you're not. And that's a great thing, and that's something we should embrace. So
it's so true. You can't, because you are not that person you were. And that's really good for moms to understand. There's no going back to that old you. So you have to go through a very intense self-development process of who am I now? But I think if we were told that ahead of time, even just heard those words, we could have maybe expected it a little bit more. I know I did not. For me, it was physical body. This is not the story I told in the book, but I was have been a lifelong athlete, and I was a marathoner pre-birth. And after the birth of my first baby, running hurt. And I had to go to doctors and figure out with the prolapse issue that I experienced after childbirth and blah, blah, blah. But, you know, I realized how much identity I had put in marathoning and being an athlete and being able to do something with my body. And then I was just sitting there going, oh my gosh, okay, who am I now? What? Like, that was who I was, you know, but you know, that's not who we are.
Yeah, 100%. And I think, though, the other thing that that I found in pregnancy that we're often not told. We're told, you know, not to do certain things, and whereas my tool, like, you know, some people might tell you not to do that tool during pregnancy, but that's what kept me sane, and that's what like made me evolve. And, you know, I continued to kickbox throughout pregnancy. So, as you know, we're both black belts. We're both in Black Belt Women, your book. So I, you know, kickboxed right until 8 months pregnant because it made me feel good. And yes, okay, I wasn't sparring in the same way, but yeah, I think you've just got to forge your own path and, like, you know, use your intuition and don't always listen to what you're told.
And there's a beautiful chapter in the book about that. And I'll just say just a quick thank you to all of our co-authors who are in this book with us. Thank you so much for being a part of this. And I just enjoyed every morsel of every chapter that I read. It feels like such a profound book. And we could talk about that piece of this all day long, can't we? I know. Okay, so what does it mean to you to show up in the world as a strong mother?
I think for me, everyone in this book is a strong mum? I think a strong mum is someone who can admit they've struggled and then share tools or share advice with other mums. Because if you can lift other people up from your experience, then it empowers your experience. Because, you know, lots of people can say, oh, why are you talking about not glowing or not being smug during pregnancy? That's really horrible. But actually, it's a really profound thing that it made me stronger, and it opened all these avenues, and it made me, as soon as he arrived, I was like, this is where I'm meant to be. And I think the way that the mothers in this book share their tools and want to help other women, that's a strong mother.
So can you think of a time so far with, he's still, you know, what did you say, 10 months old now? Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
In the last 10 months, what's the definition been for you personally, like your own mindset or your own, you know, either physical, mental, or emotional? What's it meant for you to be strong in that, in your own personal environment?
Sure. I think I thought maybe that I would be a different kind of mum, like maybe like more stressful and more, whereas I kind of let things wash over me. Like I don't get easily irritated, or I try not to. And I think maybe it's my pregnancy experience and the different tips and tools that I picked up along that, that helps me be this way. And also, I'm just really thankful that I was able to get myself better in time for his arrival, because I know lots of people close to me were not able to do that, and that's not a failing or anything like that. It's, you know, it happens to a huge percentage of women, and it's often in society it's not freely talked about, and it's something that we should freely talk about because it happens to so many people. So I felt like, you know, I felt so grateful that I was able to get myself to that place. Yeah. So.
And, you know, when you have even an inner circle of support, it matters. The community matters. And I think that's one of the things that we're doing with this collaboration, and really all the Brave Healer collaborations, is we're pulling together a community who can, you know, tell their stories out loud to give you permission to say, oh my gosh, me too. Thank goodness somebody else said it, right? Because these are the things that we need to say out loud so that nobody has to just sit around by themselves suffering and not getting the support that they really need. This is really important.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, you know, I won't go into too much detail because read the chapter, but that's what I talk about, you know, that lack of community was maybe why I went through what I did and the anxieties and things during pregnancy, because it was COVID and we were cut off from our families, cut off from our friends. Like hardly anyone saw me pregnant until the weekend before I gave birth. And so that is, you know, pretty insane to have gone through, you know, he was early, so 8 months of pregnancy, and yeah, and no one really saw you pregnant. It's bizarre. So I think that sense of community, especially since COVID, we all appreciate how much we need people, and we need our tribe and our circle to like lift us up.
Wow, won't it be interesting to kind of understand the parents who were pregnant during COVID, gave birth during COVID, the lack of connection and community just because you're forced not to have it. It's just going to be interesting to see how that plays out. There needs to be discussions and support groups, and for both the parents and the children, actually. They talk a lot about, of course, all of the emotional things that you're going through in pregnancy. And babies, you know, swimming around in your tummy, pulling through the energy, literal vibration of what the parents are experiencing. And that's something that kind of comes under the umbrella of, I want to wake people up to this, the new ways to think about how we can heal and even be proactive when we know, you know, we've been through that. That was a trauma, I'm imagining, for you.
Yeah, I think so. You know, it's something that you can never get back. So yeah, it's something like you almost have to mourn, I guess. Like, you know, that you would never have that first experience with your friends and family again. But I am hopeful because of all the things that came out of it. And I'm hopeful because I hope to have another child. And yeah, it's been a huge learning process. And actually, if I hadn't have had a difficult experience, we wouldn't be sat here now. So actually, I'm just grateful for everything that
Yes.
happened. And I think, you know, we learn from, you know, things that don't go to plan. We learn from things that are a bit uncomfortable. We don't learn from things that are all nice and butterflies and roses, you know? So I'm here
Yeah.
for it.
I hear you. Growth happens in the discomfort zone. So we do have to learn to live in there a little bit once in a while, you know, and look for the opportunities. And the gratitude is, thank you, you know, for sharing that piece, because if you can move to a gratitude mindset in the middle of that opportunity that doesn't feel so great, then
Yeah.
you're already 10 steps ahead, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, super awesome. All right. So I would love for you to share a little bit about what's going on in your business, the kinds of things you're offering moms these days. Tell us everything.
Sure. So, I basically formed my business because I didn't feel like I had that kind of support during pregnancy. So, I think, like, you know, there's lots of women out there who, you know, maybe find pregnancy difficult because they're quite ambitious and they are like, oh, well, I was gonna go for this step next. What happens now? And I think I aim to reduce that tension and to show that, you know, you can still get to your dreams. You just have to do it in a more digestible way and prioritize the things that are most important. So what I'm doing is I'm working with you know, people who I've previously worked with in other companies, and organizations can approach me because, let's be honest, like, most people are not trained to manage expectant mums in a particular way. So it's no you know, it's not a bad thing to admit that. It's actually a great thing. So for organizations to invest in, you know, my coaching in addition to management, that can really show your people at your organization that uh, you value, you know, the company values you. um and yeah, and I think then that makes people more you know, more likely to return to an organization, or more likely to feel supported. And also I'm now starting to look at, you know, business owners as well, and how I can support them, because it's a slightly different ask. And yeah, okay, maybe it means them admitting that they would like some extra, you know, support and things like that, that they didn't have previously. So sometimes that's a bit trickier to do. But I'm just here to help, and here to help anyone be successful when they're expecting a child.
Nice. I love it. Ambitious moms. Christina can help you. You don't have to give up your dreams. You know, you can do both things. I love what you said about prioritizing. That's the biggest thing, I think, in that little to-do list. If it's prioritized well and aligns with your dreams, and, you know, being a mom as well, then the combination is successful. So what do you want to say, last few words to the moms listening about just being on this journey? Maybe they're feeling stuck or upset, or maybe they're having a pregnancy like we talked about. It isn't going exactly how they thought it would go. What do you want to share with them today?
I think I would like to say that every pregnancy experience is completely unique. And you know, they don't have to be pregnant. They could maybe be adopting, or fostering, or whatever. Like, they're becoming a mum and they feel, you know, they feel uncomfortable about it for whatever reason. Um, I just would say that you know, there's no shame in how you feel. All your feelings are valuable, and all your feelings are, just sit with them for a while, because they're your feelings and that's just how you feel. I think there's so much pressure on what a pregnant person should be or how they should feel. And yeah, and it's just, you know, being authentic, and recognizing that you may be experiencing something slightly different. And then the other thing is community, like we said. So, you know, I didn't have that luxury, and, you know, hopefully no pregnant people would have to go through that again. But if you did, there's other ways that you can create community. You know, there's, you know, online, you know, there's, I mean, we're connecting across seas, you know. So I just think try and grow your community and get with people who really higher your vibration, and make you feel positive and make you feel uplifted.
Yes, such good advice. What's the best place where people can find out about everything that you're doing?
So they can go to my website, which is yesmindset.com. So yes-mindset.com. And you can schedule a consultation with myself. So the first 30 minutes is free, so we can just meet each other, feel each other out, and if I'm the right person for you. So that's probably the best way to get in touch. And then if you just want to hear more about maybe books that I'm working on or things like that, and different events that I'm doing, then you can sign up to my newsletter on my website as well.
Awesome. So everybody, go on down to the show notes, because I have you hooked up with Christina's website. And there's something that she said just sparked you a little bit today. Go ahead and explore, set up that call with her. You never know what can happen with an amazing conversation, and what can, you know, come of that, and next steps, and somebody else you might meet as a result of knowing Christina. So take the adventure, go explore her website, see what she's up to. She's up to a lot of awesomeness. Christina, thank you so much for what you do in the world, and for being here today to share it with everyone.
Thank you, Laura, and thanks for what you do also.
So everybody, you are invited to our live stream book launch party for Strong Mothers. That's going to be on March 4th at noon Eastern. We're going to be on the Brave Healer Productions Facebook page, live streaming that party with all of our authors who are going to be there, introducing themselves and sharing all of their wisdom with you. It's going to be a fun time. And we're probably going to be doing a little bit of a giveaway that day too. So that's going to be cool. So drop on down to the show notes as well, and you can see the details about the live stream party. And lastly today, everybody, remember, your words change the world when you're brave enough to share them. So it's time to be brave. See you next time, everyone. See you, Christina.
Bye.